Hello, troublemakers out there. I'm Matt Catling, and this is the next disruption session where we interview the biggest troublemakers we can find. We answer your questions to help you get disruptive in life and business. Now, let's get started. Hello, Matt Catling here. Welcome to the next disruption session. And what a busy week I've had this week. On Saturday, I had my engagement party with my beautiful partner, Stephanie Miller, and we had the most wonderful experience. We had friends, we had family members there, and I think I'm still on a high from that experience. So much love and so much support, and thank you to our community. A lot of you came along to our engagement party, and Steffi and I are so happy. And this disruption session, I thought I would talk about a question that a client had for me this week. And this question was, she was in financial trouble, her back's against the wall, and nothing is working. And I thought that is a really good question, because a lot of the times in business we experience that. And we often think it's a really bad thing. It feels bad, that's for sure. But I look at it in a different way. I look at it as a necessary experience for growth. In fact, I've reframed it so much now that I actually get excited. And in fact, in the Troublemakers programs, we call this the breakout. And we actually force this experience on our clients, basically. Because if you look at any successful person, millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is, in any form, really, growth kind of happens through crisis. It doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It often happens when your back's against the wall. I mean, if you look at a lot of billionaires, they will say that they were about to lose everything and then something happened. They got themselves back in their game, they got their mindset back in the game, and then they had their $1 billion idea. And that's what I call the breakout. The clarity comes after the breakout. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They kind of sit there stuck, or doing habits that are safe, basically, that are not taking their business to the next level, and they think they're going to get clarity. Like, a business grows through crisis. People often don't realize that. And so how I answered this question, and I thought I would share it with everyone, is step number one, we've really got to look at your mindset. We've got to look at, what is coming up? Where are you? Are you at effect? And the effect is probably you're focusing on all of the problems outside of yourself. You're probably looking at your bank account. You're probably playing a story that is going, I can't pay the bills. You're probably thinking of the worst case scenario. Now, while you're in that state, you're never ever going to be creative. What we've got to do is be able to move you to what I call cause. And cause is where you take charge. You take charge of your internal communication. You take charge of your psychology, the belief systems that are firing, the emotions that you're experiencing, and you take charge of your behaviors. And what we want to be able to operate is from a physiology and psychology of certainty. That really is the key, because when you're in that level of certainty, you're going to come up with new ideas. You're going to come up with new experiences. And often that crisis will force you to do the things that you've been putting off or holding off. For some of you, it could be actually getting out there and contacting your prospective customers and facing that rejection that you've been avoiding. For some of you, it could be turning off that computer and actually getting out there and networking and doing all those types of things that are actually going to grow your business. A lot of the time I do presentations, and some of you would have heard this before, where people come to me and they say, I don't know how to grow my business, I don't know what to do. Now, I believe at a deeper level, everybody knows what to do. They just don't have the right structure in place, the right structure of leverage. We can be in a structure of fixing where we go, oh, I need to fix this, I need to fix this, I need to fix this. Then I can kind of create. And that's kind of the metaphor of getting fit before going to the gym. Or we can be in a structure of creation, and that is where we just go and create. And we focus on the things that we actually need to be doing. And so I'll do a situation where I'll say to people, imagine someone has a gun to your head and they're threatening to blow your brains out, and you've got to make $3K in the next week. What would you do? And all of a sudden, everybody has all of the answers and ideas of what they need to specifically do to grow. And so there are a number of things to help you with that breakout or structures that I personally put in place. Number one is you need to be in a mindset, and there's two types of things. I call it a committed mindset. And the first thing is your willingness to learn needs to be 100%. It needs to be 10 out of 10. And what do I mean by that? Your willingness to learn means often letting go of what you've currently learnt and being open to some new information. Bruce Lee talks about this as the cup half full, cup half empty. So we've kind of got to empty the cup and be willing to let go of our ego, typically. Because if you've got a belief system that you know it all, then in actual fact, you actually stop learning. So the information that got your business to this point, or the information that got your life to this point, is typically the information that is going to keep you stuck. So in order to go to the next level, we have to have some new information at an unconscious level. Okay? Really, really important. And so we've got to empty that cup, be open to suggestion, and ideally from mentors. Be open to some suggestions from mentors that have been there, gone through that experience, that maybe have got the psychology around risk or are able to take action around your fears. Now, what will happen is that when we're activated, our ego will pop up and we'll actually stop learning. We'll reject the information that is coming to us. And so what I say is, in order for you to commit, your willingness to learn has to be 100%. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. The next one, and this sounds really easy, but it's not, is your willingness to change. In order to change your life, you actually have to change something in your life. So often when people are kind of in a situation where it is very, very uncomfortable, they often hold on to the things that are safe, the things that are secure, and often those things that are safe and secure are not going to grow your business. So you actually have to be willing to kind of take charge and actually face those fears and be willing to change. And I think that's a really kind of good statement. In order to change your life, you actually have to change something in your life. So all of these things combined, commitment and being at cause, that's really the first step in terms of a mindset perspective. Now, the greatest thing is if you can reframe it and you can get excited and go, we are about to have a breakout. And that's what we condition in my programs, The Great Escape and my Troublemakers Business Breakout. We condition this. We get excited about it. We force it, as I said before. We set the game up so people are experiencing that perturbation. Now, if you think about it, if we're talking potential, you only kind of really tap into your potential when you're being tested. Think about that. Some of you would have experienced this before when everything is collapsing and there's no exits, and then all of a sudden you tap into this incredible power, these ideas, this confidence, this certainty, and you get through it. And a lot of times you might look back at that and go, how did I do that? Where did these resources come from? And so in order to grow, we've got to actually get excited about these challenges and break through them in order to break out to the next level. And as we said earlier, after the breakout, that's when we get clarity. Now, how do we kind of short circuit that experience of crumbling? And the way to do that is to have an incredible support system in place. And this is what I've learned of billionaires, incredibly successful people, what they put in place, and they put all of these steps in place in order to keep them growing at the level that they need to be growing. And so this structure is really important. A lot of people that are getting average results or just going in the flow, they often do things independently. What you really need is a team. And this is the structure that I like to put in place. So the first thing that I do is education. I want to start to educate myself based on the results or based on the challenge that I'm facing at the moment. So I will go and learn from people that have overcome that specific challenge. Now, I don't go and learn a whole lot of generalized information. I see this a lot in the personal development industry. People are reading a range of books. They're reading spiritual books, they're reading business books, they're reading mindset books, health books, all that type of stuff. Now, I love the variety, but what we also need to be is very targeted in our approach. So I like to look at, okay, here's my business or a challenge in life. I will then get really laser focused and I will study the problem. Or more specifically, I'll study the solution. Who has overcome the solution? Who has got a blueprint? And I'll keep educating myself, and I'll be results focused around that education. Very, very targeted. The next thing that I believe is really, really important is having one-on-one coaching or mentoring. There's a lot of people that are out there at the moment, and as I said, they play the game solo. But the challenge is that life is an emotional game, and when you increase emotion, you decrease intelligence. A lot of you would have experienced this before. You've set goals, and you get really excited about those goals, and then 2 weeks later, you've actually forgotten what the goal is. Now, the reason that we have someone that's independent is because independent and objective is because they're going to manage that goal. Because we know you're going to get off track. We know you're going to get activated. As I said, when you increase emotion, you decrease intelligence. When you're stuck in fear, all you see is fear. When you're stuck in hurt, all you see is hurt. And it's like a magnet. You keep attracting more hurt. You keep attracting more of those situations. So we've got to disrupt that stuff. Okay? And how we disrupt that stuff is having a support system. So what I like is to have someone that is trained in mindset, to be able to get into the unconscious mind and release those patterns that we're playing out unconsciously that we often don't realize. So to get in there and do the mindset work and to utilize the current challenge that is in front of us, the next thing is a master that can draw information out of me to get that clarity of what my future is instead of being on someone else's goal plan, and really reconnect to that, especially if I've lost sight of it. And then the next one is to have someone that is really trained in strategies or consulting, and all of these combined is what I call RCT, and that's what I train. I teach coaches with all of that type of stuff because it's so important. So that's who I have. I have the one-on-one work, and so I'm getting all of this education that is targeted, then I take that information, I work with my coach or my mentor, and then we put it into a plan, and we're so targeted on what the outcome is. And you've heard me say this probably, definite demands create definite results. So we've got to get really, really specific on what that objective is. Okay? The next thing is you want to have a mastermind group around you. And a mastermind group is a group of people that are doing the same jump as you. So if you're kind of, you're in a job, your first jump's probably going to be the 100K jump. And I have a program called The Great Escape where we get a whole group of people that are doing the same jump. So they're experiencing the same things and they can support each other through the process. A lot of challenges, especially in the business world, is a lot of small businesses or startups, they hang out with people that are employed. And often people that are employed, no offense, they don't know what it takes to run a business, especially emotionally. And their feedback can actually be detrimental to the growth of the business. So we want to be around people that are going through the same jump, not people that are emotionally connected to us, like family and friends. We want to open up our network. And the greatest thing is that when you've got a mastermind group where people are hearing the same information and they're supporting each other, they're holding each other to a higher standard, and they're committed to that jump. The next thing that you want to have in place is your network. Your network equals your net worth. And I call this 5 by 5. And what that is that you want to find 5 people that are 5 levels above you. And you want to hang out with them socially. And so this is where you can go to networking events. One of the stories that I did that is quite famous in Live It Now was when I was 17 years old, I used to run past this restaurant in Manly called the Bower Restaurant. And every Saturday I'd run past this restaurant and I'd see this group of people, and they were the most successful people in Manly, and I called them the Billionaires group. And I used to run past them every Saturday, and I used to think, one day I want to be part of this group. I was sitting at that table and be a fly on the wall and hear what they actually talk about. And I remember I must have done a personal development seminar that weekend or something like that, or the week before, because I was pretty pumped. And I ran past and I turned around, I puffed up my chest, and I was like, today's going to be that day. And so I walked in, I was going up to the table, and then all of a sudden I lost my nerve. And I was like, I can't do this. So I sat at the table kind of next to them and ordered a glass of water, and I did my best to eavesdrop on what they were talking about. Anyway, after a period of about 10 minutes, the owner of the restaurant came over to me and said, are you going to buy anything from my restaurant? And I didn't realise it at the time, but I was taking up really important real estate for that restaurant. And so he promptly kicked me out once he realised I wasn't going to buy anything. And so anyway, the next week I was running past again, and I had my little internal self-talk going, no, I can't do it. And then suddenly I was like, yes, I can do it. And again, I walked in, and I lost my nerve again. And this time I sat a few tables away, and then again I realised I had no money on me. And sure enough, the owner of the restaurant came up to me and said, "Are you going to buy anything from my restaurant?" And again I said no. And then he said to me, "You look really awkward. Why are you here?" And I said, "Well, to be honest, the people that are at that table, they're very successful. And I heard that by hanging out with successful people, sometimes it rubs off." And he laughed at me and then promptly kicked me out. And so the next week, and one of the things that I had heard was 90% of success is just showing up, even when you don't want to. So I was like, I'm just going to keep showing up. But on the third visit, I'm running past the restaurant. This time I had $20 in my pocket, and I was like, I'm going to buy a big bao breakfast this time. And it was more just to, I suppose, make myself right in front of the owner of that restaurant. And I had no intention of actually going up to that millionaires group. And so I walked into this restaurant, and the owner saw me and screamed at the top of his lungs, "The stalker is here." And I was so embarrassed. All of these waitresses are looking at me, and the other people that are at the restaurant, and oh my God, I was so nervous. And I was about to leave, and he came up to me and he goes, no, come with me. And he took me over to this millionaires group table, and he said to them, "This is the stalker I've been telling you about." And they invited me to sit down. And we started to have a bit of a chat, and they said to me, "It's Saturday morning. Why are you not hungover?" And I said, "Don't worry, I've done enough of that." And they started to ask me a little bit about myself. And they said, "What do you do? What are your interests? Why are you here?" And the topic of personal development popped up. Now, we talk about personal development, you need to book out about 4 hours. My passion and intensity became infectious, and I started to say things like, I did this NLP course when I was 12 years old, and I used to be really, really dumb. Now I'm really, really smart, and I want to help people. I want to help people create the life that they want. I want to help people communicate. I want to help people develop confidence. I want to launch my businesses, and I want to change the world. And they just sat there kind of blown away. And then I started to rattle off all of the courses that I'd done, and I remember one guy, he went white, and he said, "Matt, do you realise the reason I am successful is because I've done all of those courses and I chose that path?" And they said to me, "We are so excited to have you sitting at this table." And they invited me back, and they said, "If you want, please come back." And that day, they bought me a big bao breakfast, and that became a meeting place for me every Saturday. And it was so inspiring. They weren't even teaching me anything, but I sat there and absorbed. And I noticed how they communicated. And because I'd studied NLP, I started to unconsciously model their patterns. And I noticed that they looked at money completely differently. They looked at life completely differently. They looked at business completely differently to anyone that I'd ever met. To them, business was fun. Business should be set up from the beginning to create an incredible life. And they would set themselves challenges where they would lock up their money, and they would go, "Okay, we've got to create a business from scratch that is going to generate X amount in a week. And if we do that, that's going to be our travel money to this location." I would see them launch businesses at the table, and I would see them use no money, and then within a week it would be in profit, and then they'd be traveling somewhere, often together. And it transformed my mindset. To this day, these guys are some of my best friends, and were actually at my engagement party on the weekend. People underestimate the power of the network, and they think, it needs to happen straight away. This is an ongoing process, and this is what I teach in our branch of personal development, which is one of the reasons that we have lifetime resets on a lot of our courses, is because personal development is an ongoing process. With each breakout that you go through, whether it be the 100K jump, whether it be the $1 million jump in your business, whether it be the $10 million jump, the $100 million jump, you have to change your belief systems, your values, negative emotions. You will be triggered. You often will break in two and then come back together in a really powerful, strong way, but it is uncomfortable. It is super, super uncomfortable. But it is the key to growth. Now, most people run away from it, and I hope that after this kind of podcast, you'll invest in yourself, because it is so important. These structures that you put in place, you have to invest in yourself. And I've been in situations where I've had no money whatsoever, and I found it to put these support systems in place, because I know team is crucial and success leaves clues, and the most expensive thing is ignorance. And so if you're going through a bit of a challenge at the moment, one of the things that I'd suggest that you do is come along to my Live It Now training, do an audit on yourself. It's a free event. We're raising money for charity, Bear Cottage. And one of the reasons that I run Live It Now as a free event is because I think a lot of people don't understand how to use their psychology. They haven't developed excellence around communication internally and externally. They haven't developed excellence around their psychology, being able to choose the emotional states that they want, being able to get rid of limiting beliefs and condition new beliefs. And they haven't realized how to change behavior, because the rituals are the things, or the habits that we run unconsciously are the things that often are the difference between success and failure. This stuff's not taught in school, so I thought I would give it to the world. I thought I would give the best information I could possibly find so that people get out there and live it. Or if you're more of a business person, I have the Disruption Tour, my Troublemakers Disruption Tour, and that's another thing, a free initiative that I run, and that's because the world is changing at the moment, and people have to take a leadership position. AI is probably going to decimate the job market. People don't realize that. It's an exponential kind of growth wave that is about to happen. People need to take a leadership position. People need to be building their personal brands. They need to be working on themselves to work out what their passion is. One of the things that AI cannot replace is creativity. And we all have different types of creativity. It's being able to maximize that, and in some cases, being able to monetize that, whether it be a side hustle or something that you transition into fully. And so, if you're listening to this, please take action. Check out mattcatling.com. Live It Now's on there, the Disruption Tour's on there, and there's other podcasts that you can learn. Or also, we've launched our live disruption sessions. So if you want to see me live, I'm going to be running these around the country monthly, and this is also a free service. Now is the time to be able to get out there and focus on becoming the best version of you, to take advantage of all of the amazing opportunities that are now popping up because of technology and because of where the world's at. So I hope you enjoyed this session, everybody. Please let us know what you want to hear, or the interviews that you want me to do with troublemakers in our comments in my Facebook page, in our Instagram or Twitter. That's all on mattcatling.com. So thanks for listening today, everybody. I'll catch you next time in the next disruption session. Thank you.